Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're fearful, you're afraid, you're anxious over a situation where you know you shouldn't be that afraid? It could be things like public speaking, it could be like recording yourself, it could be meeting new people, and you're kind of worried about what could go wrong, what other people think, and things like that. Basically, the fear, we're going to talk about fear today. And I remember in my last video we spoke about the mind and how it's a machine, an information processing machine, but it's much more deeper than that. Your mind is literally what is giving rise to your experience of space and time. This whole 3D experience is through the mind, and we say that, you know, consciousness is what's using the mind. Consciousness is infinite and one and unlimited, but for some reason it wanted to experience the exact opposite of that, which is limitation and separation. So mind, you could see mind as a mode of consciousness, where consciousness limits itself and views itself as separate from everything and limited and finite, which is the opposite of consciousness. If you're separate, then anything that is not you could be a threat. So survival is the basic instinct, and if you are limited, then you will come to an end, and that's where the fear of death stems from. The mind isn't necessarily a bad thing, because the mind is what gives birth to this other scenery, space, time, the physical reality, is because consciousness is viewing itself through a limited perspective. So it's not a bad thing, and fear is not necessarily a bad thing because it helps you survive. If you're on a cliff, you're not going to jump off because of fear. That's a good thing. But sometimes we find ourselves in situations where the fear is interfering with your interaction with the environment. It's interfering with your life because it's too much and it's unwarranted and it's limiting you. For example, social anxiety, you know, fear of being judged by other people, fear of performance, fear of what other people think. And you could see how that simply stems from the need to be accepted in a group, the need to be validated. We as humans, this human experience, the human being is a social creature which depends on the tribe to survive. And so there are things programmed within us that want us to seek validation, that want us to be accepted by the tribe. So it's wired to help protect us in that way. And when you feel things like social anxiety, fear of judgment, of what other people think, it's not necessarily you choosing those fears. Those fears are just programmed within your mind, within the human machine, to be accepted by the group. Otherwise, if you get rejected by the group, that spells danger, that spells a threat. So one of the main reasons that you don't want your mind to have complete control is because it's innately fearful, because it perceives everything as separate from itself. It perceives everything as a possible threat. So you don't want to fully let go of your power to your mind, because your life is gonna be a fearful one. You're gonna be looking at reality through a very limited lens. You're not gonna be able to see the bigger picture. And so you want to make sure you're living within your awareness, you're living within your consciousness, which is the truth. The truth is one and infinite, and everything is energy, everything is one. There's this concept in physics, it's called the wave-particle duality. And so things appear as particles when consciousness is observing it, but when it's not being observed, it collapses into a wave. So the truth is that everything is just waves, everything is one energy vibrating at different frequencies. People who are not aware that there's something more than the mind, there's something more than this reality, which is the consciousness, it's hard to perceive the bigger picture, and you live a fearful and anxious life because the mind is in control, which is innately fear-based. And thoughts will appear that you think are your own thoughts, things like anxiety, You're way too scared for the situation. Why are you so terrified? But there's nothing actually there to be scared of. It's because your mind is wired towards survival, it's based on fear. You can become more in touch with the truth of reality, which is infinite, which is the present moment. Right now is all that exists. And you can stay in touch with that by staying present, being mindful, not living in your mind all the time. And it takes time to practice things like meditation, exercise, zen, breath work, cold showers, anything that pins you in the present moment. The more you practice, the better you become at it. And the most common form of ways of practicing mindfulness is through meditation, where you focus on your breath. You focus on anchoring your awareness on the present moment, which is the reality of the truth. And it's just like working any muscle. It takes time. People often get frustrated because it doesn't seem to be working. Oh, I tried this once and it didn't work. Imagine someone went to the gym, tried to lift a heavy weight and they couldn't do it, and then they gave up just then. You need to start small, and over time you become better at it, and you will start to see that there's more space within you. You see things more clearly and life will be much less fearful. If you'd like to learn how to meditate, if you'd like to learn more about self-mastery, visit lyricsandlife.com, where you'll get a free package which will help you kickstart your journey to self-mastery. You will also get some free guided meditations to help you strengthen that muscle of Zen, that muscle of staying in the present moment, because the present moment is the truth. Now is the truth. The past, the future is an illusion. Separation is an illusion. Fear is an illusion. Unity is the truth. Thank you for joining me. My name is Tris. I'm on a mission. Peace be with you.